If you're over 70, your doctor isn't telling you about these 7 warning signs that predict exactly how many years you have left. And number 4 shocked even the researchers. Look, I know talking about longevity after 70s sounds scary, but here's the thing. Scientists have spent decades studying thousands of people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and they found something incredible. There are 7 specific signs your body gives you that can actually predict your lifespan with shocking accuracy. And the best part? Most of these signs can be improved starting today. Some of them have nothing to do with how you feel right now, and that's what makes this so important. So let's dive into what the science actually says. Here's what most people get wrong about aging after 70. They think it's all about genetics or luck. Your parents lived to 95, so you will too, right? Wrong. Recent studies from Harvard Medical School and the National Institute on Aging show that genetics only accounts for about 25% of how long you live after 70. The other 75%? That's completely in your control. But nobody talks about the specific signs that matter most. Most doctors focus on the obvious stuff during checkups: blood pressure, cholesterol, and maybe your blood sugar. Sure, those things matter, but researchers discovered there are other signs that are way better at predicting longevity. Signs that most people, and even some doctors, completely ignore. And when you ignore these signs, you're basically flying blind into your final decades. The real problem is that many people in their 70s think it's too late to make changes. They've accepted their fate. But the science proves that wrong every single day. People in their 70s and 80s who pay attention to these 7 signs are living longer, healthier lives than people 20 years younger who ignore them. So what are these signs? Before we move forward, I need to ask you something. If you care about living a longer, healthier life and want to see more content like this that could actually add years to your life, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It takes 1 second, but it helps me reach more people who need to hear this. Your life could literally save someone else's life by getting this information in front of them. All right, let's keep going. Sign number 1, your walking speed. This sounds too simple to be true, but walking speed is one of the most powerful predictors of longevity after 70. And I'm not talking about whether you can walk or not, I'm talking about how fast you walk. A massive study published in JAMA followed over 34,000 people aged 65 and older for more than a decade. What they found was mind-blowing. People who walked faster than 3 feet per second, that's about 2 miles per hour, lived significantly longer than slower walkers. In fact, walking speed predicted lifespan better than almost any other single measure. Why does this matter? Because walking speed reflects your entire body's health. It shows your muscle strength, your lung capacity, your heart function, your nervous system, your balance, and your cognitive function all at once. It's like a window into your overall biological age versus your actual age. But here's the thing though, most people think their walking speed is just what it is, but you can improve it. Studies show that people who did simple strength training and balance exercises increased their walking speed by up to 15% in just 3 months. And that improvement directly translated to better survival rates. So how do you measure this? Simple. Find a flat area that's about 15 feet long. Time yourself walking that distance at your normal pace. Do it 3 times and take the average. If it takes you longer than 5 seconds, that's something to work on. If it takes less than 3 seconds, you're in the optimal zone. Sign number 2, your grip strength. Grip strength might sound random, but it's another one of those whole body indicators that scientists obsess over, and for good reason. Research from the UK involving over 400,000 adults found that grip strength was a better predictor of death from any cause than blood pressure. Let that sink in. Your ability to squeeze something firmly tells us more about how long you'll live than your blood pressure readings. Why? Because grip strength reflects your overall muscle mass and muscle quality. After 70, most people lose about 3% of their muscle mass every year if they don't actively work against it. This muscle loss, called sarcopenia, doesn't just make you weaker. It increases your risk of falls, reduces your metabolic rate, weakens your immune system, and even affects your brain health. But here's the interesting part. You don't need to be super strong. You just need to maintain reasonable strength for your age and size. For men over 70, grip strength below 26 kilograms is considered weak. For women, it's below 16 kilograms. You can test this with a simple hand dynamometer that costs about $20 online. The good news is, you can improve grip strength at any age. Simple exercises like squeezing a tennis ball, carrying grocery bags, or doing basic resistance training can make a huge difference. One study showed that people over 70 who did grip strength exercises 3 times a week improved their strength by 25% in just 2 months. Sign number 3. How many times can you stand up from a chair? This is called the chair stand test, and it's used by researchers worldwide because it's so predictive of longevity and independence after 70. Here's how it works. Sit in a regular chair with your arms crossed over your chest. Now stand up and sit back down as many times as you can in 30 seconds. Sounds easy, right? But this simple test reveals your leg strength, balance, and power output, all critical for staying independent as you age. A study in the British Medical Journal followed over 2,000 people aged 51 to 80 for more than 6 years. Those who could do fewer than 10 chair stands in 30 seconds had significantly higher mortality rates than those who could do more than 15. But it gets even more interesting. Brazilian researchers developed something called the sitting rising test, where you sit down on the floor and stand back up using as little support as possible. People who needed a lot of help getting up and down had a 5 to 6 times higher risk of dying within the next 6 years compared to those who could do it smoothly. Why does this matter so much? Because leg strength is directly connected to your independence. If your legs are strong, you can walk, climb stairs, get out of bed, use the bathroom, and avoid falls. The moment your legs get too weak, everything changes. You become dependent on others, your world gets smaller, and your health declines rapidly. The solution is strength training for your legs. Even simple exercises like sitting and standing from a chair repeatedly, doing wall squats or leg raises can make a huge difference. One study showed that people over 70 who did leg strength exercises 2 times a week reduced the risk of disability by over 40%. Sign number 4, your social connections. This one surprises people, but your social life is just as important as your physical health when it comes to longevity after 70. A massive review of 148 studies involving over 300,000 people found that having strong social connections increased survival by 50%. That's more than quitting smoking, more than exercising, and more than losing weight. Loneliness and social isolation don't just make you sad, they literally damage your body. Studies show that lonely people have higher levels of inflammation, weaker immune systems, higher blood pressure, and increased risk of dementia. In fact, loneliness has the same impact on mortality as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. But here's what counts as social connection. It's not about how many Facebook friends you have or how many people you know casually. It's about meaningful relationships where you feel understood, valued, and supported. Even having just 2 or 3 close friends or family members you connect with regularly can make all the difference. After 70, social isolation becomes more common. Friends move away or pass away, family gets busy, mobility issues make it harder to get out. But people who actively maintain their social connections, whether through community groups, religious organizations, volunteer work, or even just regular phone calls with friends, consistently live longer and healthier lives than people 20 years younger who ignore them. The research is clear on this. A study from Harvard that followed people for over 80 years found that the quality of your relationships is the single best predictor of long-term health and happiness. Not money, not fame, not career success. Relationships. So if you're over 70 and feeling isolated, this is something you need to address just as seriously as you would high blood pressure or diabetes. Join a club, volunteer, reconnect with old friends, attend community events, or even adopt a pet. Anything that creates regular, meaningful interaction with others.
Sign number 5, your cognitive function and memory. Your brain health after 70 is a massive predictor of both longevity and quality of life. But here's what most people don't realize. Minor memory problems aren't just annoying, they're warning signs. Research shows that mild cognitive impairment, that's the stage between normal aging and dementia, significantly increases mortality risk even if it never progresses to full dementia. A study in neurology found that people over 70 with mild cognitive impairment had nearly double the mortality rate of those with normal cognitive function. Why? Because cognitive decline is often a sign of underlying issues like poor circulation to the brain, chronic inflammation, or neurodegenerative disease. And all of those things affect your entire body, not just your brain. But before you panic, here's the important part. Not all memory changes are signs of serious decline. It's normal to occasionally forget names or where you put your keys. What matters is the pattern and the severity. Warning signs that matter include getting lost in familiar places, forgetting important appointments repeatedly, having trouble following conversations, struggling with familiar tasks like cooking or managing money, or showing poor judgment in situations where you used to make good decisions. The good news is that cognitive function is not fixed. Studies show that people over 70 who stay mentally active, learn new things, read regularly, do puzzles, play music, or learn a new language can actually improve their cognitive function or slow decline dramatically. Physical exercise also matters enormously for your brain. Research shows that people over 70 who exercise regularly have a 30 to 40% lower risk of cognitive decline compared to sedentary people. Exercise increases blood flow to the brain, promotes the growth of new brain cells, and reduces inflammation. And don't underestimate sleep. Poor sleep after 70 is linked to faster cognitive decline and shorter lifespan. If you're not sleeping well, that's something to address with your doctor, because it's not just about feeling tired, it's about long-term brain health. Sign number 6, your balance. Balance is something most people take for granted until they lose it. But after 70, balance becomes a critical predictor of both longevity and independence. Here's a simple test that researchers use. Stand on one leg with your eyes open and see how long you can hold it. If you're over 70 and can't hold it for at least 10 seconds, that's a red flag. A study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that people who couldn't balance on one leg for 10 seconds had nearly double the mortality rate of those with normal cognitive function. Why is balance so important? Because poor balance leads to falls, and falls are one of the leading causes of death and disability after 70. Every year, 1 in 4 people over 65 falls, and after 70, that number goes up. Falls lead to hip fractures, head injuries, and loss of independence. Once someone over 70 falls and gets injured, their health often spirals downward rapidly. But balance isn't random. It reflects your muscle strength, especially in your core and legs, your inner ear function, your vision, your nervous system health, and your cognitive processing speed. When any of these systems decline, your balance suffers. The amazing thing is that balance can be improved dramatically with practice. Simple exercises like standing on one leg while brushing your teeth, walking heel to toe in a straight line, or doing Tai Chi can improve balance significantly in just a few weeks. In fact, Tai Chi is so effective for balance that it's recommended by the CDC for fall prevention. Studies show that people over 70 who practice Tai Chi regularly reduce their fall risk by up to 45%. That's huge. If you have balance problems, talk to your doctor or a physical therapist. They can identify the specific cause and give you targeted exercises. Don't ignore balance issues and hope they go away. They won't. They'll only get worse unless you actively work on them. Sign number 7, your purpose and outlook on life. This last one is more psychological, but the science behind it is rock solid. Having a sense of purpose and a positive outlook on life is a powerful predictor of longevity after 70. A study from the University of Michigan followed over 7,000 adults over age 50 for 4 years. Those with a strong sense of purpose were 30% less likely to die during that period compared to those without a clear purpose. Other studies have found even stronger effects. What does purpose mean? It's about having reasons to get up in the morning. It's about feeling like your life matters and that you have something meaningful to contribute. It could be family, hobbies, volunteer work, creative projects, or anything else that gives your life meaning. People with purpose take better care of themselves. They're more likely to exercise, eat well, take their medications, and avoid risky behaviors. But it goes deeper than that. Purpose affects your biology. Studies show that people with purpose have lower levels of stress hormones, less inflammation, and stronger immune function. And your outlook on life matters too. Research consistently shows that optimistic people live longer than pessimistic people, even when controlling for health status and behaviors. A famous study of nuns found that those who wrote more positive, emotionally rich autobiographies in their 20s lived an average of 7 years longer than those who wrote more negative, emotionally flat ones. After 70, it's easy to lose your sense of purpose. You retire, your role changes, maybe you lose a spouse or close friends. But people who actively seek out new sources of meaning, whether through new hobbies, mentoring younger people, volunteering, or creative pursuits, maintain their health and vitality much longer. The science here is clear. Your mindset isn't just about feeling good. It directly impacts your physical health and longevity. If you're feeling lost or without a purpose after 70, that's something worth addressing just as much as any physical health problem. So here's what it all comes down to. These 7 signs, walking speed, grip strength, ability to stand from a chair, social connections, cognitive function, balance, and sense of purpose, they all work together to paint a picture of your biological age versus your calendar age. The incredible thing is that none of these are fixed. You're not stuck with what you have right now. Every single one of these can be improved, even if you're already in your 70s, 80s, or beyond. The research shows us something powerful. People who actively work on these 7 areas don't just live longer, they live better. They maintain their independence longer, they enjoy life more, they have fewer hospitalizations, and they spend less time dealing with serious illness. This isn't about adding years to the end of your life where you're sick and miserable. It's about adding healthy, vibrant years where you can still do the things you love. Let me recap these 7 signs one more time so you can remember them. 1. Your walking speed. Aim for faster than 3 feet per second. 2. Your grip strength. Keep it above 26 kilograms for men and 16 for women. 3. Your ability to stand from a chair. Shoot for at least 10 times in 30 seconds. 4. Your social connections. Maintain meaningful relationships. 5. Your cognitive function. Stay mentally active and engaged. 6. Your balance. Practice standing on one leg for at least 10 seconds. And 7. Your sense of purpose. Find reasons to get up in the morning. If you're weak in any of these, don't panic. Just start working on them. Even small improvements can make a big difference in your longevity and quality of life after 70. Talk to your doctor about these signs. Most of them can be tested easily during a regular checkup. And if you need help improving any of them, ask for a referral to a physical therapist or other specialist who can guide you. Remember, aging after 70 doesn't have to mean decline. With the right focus and effort, you can stay strong, independent, and healthy for many more years to come. If this helped you, hit that subscribe button for more health tips backed by real science.